Hey guys, welcome back to Chronic Pillness. It's a new podcast on medical abuse, iatrogenic harm, things like that. But the scope is expanding on this thing and how we're all being sick from multiple factors, from pathogens that the medical system and our medical diagnostics deny, to things like electromagnetic frequencies, microwave frequencies, radio frequencies, poison food supplies, and all these other things. But today I'm bringing Andrew back on. He was on a few episodes ago. Really phenomenal interview. I really recommend people check that out. But today somebody in the comments on the previous podcast or the one before that suggested that we do an episode talking about the benefits of copper, silver, and gold. I was like, that's a great idea. Great idea. So I was like, huh, who can I bring back on? I was like, well, let's bring back on the man Andrew here, who's just a wealth of information. So want to pass the baton over. I've gained a lot of healing from copper. I haven't had the money to experiment with silver and gold yet, but I want to pass the baton over to Andrew now. And yeah, thanks, Andrew, for coming on, man. Great to see you this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. The benefits of copper, silver, and gold are endless. And it's because it fills a specific electrical phenomena role in nature. And basically what that is that it's a conductive, those are conductive anti-magnetic materials. All right. And not only that, they're conductive, so they allow polarity to go through it. That's what conductive means. And anti-magnetic, they really what that means is that they literally repulse magnetic fields. When a magnetic field is introduced near copper, silver, or gold, copper, silver, or gold basically oppose that magnetic field with an equal force. So
Right,
if there's a magnetic charge present on something, in something, around something, it will literally oppose that in an equal measure until that force is no longer there, or by dissipation or by its presence in its near environment.
huh?
So basically, if you wrap yourself, this is how crazy copper is. If you wrapped yourself in copper and you were in a extremely magnetized environment, then you could potentially mitigate most or all of the effects of that extremely magnetic environment.
Right.
Now, who's in an extremely magnetic environment? We're all in an extremely magnetic environment.
Yeah, today we are for sure.
Yeah, you could literally, and so when I'm helping people, uh, I tell this to, and I help survivors of um, intelligence service operations. That'd be one way to say it, right? And one of the ways that one of the easiest things I tell them to do, or I suggest that they do, is go to the store, buy cheap housing wiring, like it's called Romex, and you can get it. It's 14 gauge, 12 gauge. You can get it at 25 feet, 50 feet, 7,500 feet. If they're experiencing the effects of uh, directed energy interacting with them, like Havana syndrome type deal, then one of the easiest things they can do is just take that wire and wrap it around their midsection. And what that does is it makes a inductor like effect. So what is an inductor? An inductor is a coil of wire, right? In electronics equipment. There's there's inductors in your laptop, there's inductors. Look around you. The world is made of five electrical components, and inductors were one of the first electrical, maybe the first electrical component ever invented, like 18 something, 60 in on paper. Going back before that, probably, to
Sure.
5,000 BC, the ancient Egyptians probably figured it out too.
All right.
On one side, you've got inductors, which is literally wire that's coiled. Copper is a fantastic uh, inductor because when it makes that magnetic field, it collapses it in real or very soon after. So it helps you manage the magnetic flow uh, in it or around it, because it's not actually flowing. There's not energy actually flowing through the wire. It's like a pressure mediation, but that's neither here nor there.
So
The
what you're talking about is getting this copper coil or whatever, this wire, not wire, but the thicker gauge stuff, and using it as like a belt around you or something, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah,
literally as
yeah,
simple as that.
yeah,
If you had a chronic inflammation problem of
yeah,
any sort, whether it's genetic or
yeah,
through bad habit, and
yeah,
that's not to blame anyone for like having heart disease or whatnot, but
yeah,
let's say heart disease, that's a good example, or like diabetes or anything like that. That's a really inflamed, chronic problem. You could what it's so easy, anyone can do it. You get that wire and you wrap it around your midsection and you
yeah,
wear it till you feel better. If
yeah,
it's just a week, a month, 10 months or whatever. This is of scale, of course, right? So like when you're wearing copper and it's having that anti-magnetic effect on the anti-tensive effect, right? So most inflammation is of a tensive tension nature, right? When you wear copper, it helps resolve that. All right. But say if you were like, if your chronic inflammation had progressed to the point where you were no longer storing fat on your body, right? You're at that phase of it, like the final weeks or months, depending, everyone's different. But if you wore copper at that point, it wouldn't be as beneficial as catching it earlier in the chronic inflammation, if that makes sense. When you're bloated and your lymphatics are swollen and all that type of thing,
yeah.
if you put copper on, it will help resolve all of that because that's
Yeah.
all a tensive state.
Right. But will it also benefit, say, if you wear copper bracelets, copper anklets, a copper necklace, like
Yeah.
in various parts of the body, right? Or copper
Mhm.
crown, like,
Yeah, and that's why the kings of old wore copper crowns.
right, right,
And silver and gold do the same
right,
exact thing.
right,
That's
exactly.
the amazing thing. So, you know how they've always awarded copper, silver, and gold since
Yeah.
the Olympics?
Bronze. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well, this is why.
yeah, yeah.
The people of old figured this out. I think I
Oh,
brought
yeah,
this up very shortly on the last podcast.
yeah,
But they knew this inherently because of the effects of basically getting rid of these tension-based inflammatory, what we call now diseases. But
mhm,
what they, had a different relationship was is that there's this thing I've been doing wrong, I need to correct, which is accurate, right? So if you wore and you think about it like this too. You want to wear it primarily in the midsection because that's where majority of the electrical effect that is you is happening. All right, your organ sac.
yeah,
The majority of your organs are from below your head to your groin.
right.
Right. So you think about that's why you do it there. But if you put it on your fingers or your wrist or your neck or your ankles,
Ankles.
then the the inductive field, because that's what we were talking about a second
Yeah,
ago, that's produced can interact more strongly with the plasma electrical effect, blood plasma that's in that area. All right. So you have the largest surface area effect across your midsection, but you have the most intense effect on these smaller parts of your body,
right.
right? So you would potentially want to do both. One would treat the electrical magnetic buildup,
Yeah.
like putting it on your midsection would help wick that magneticism off you.
Hmm.
Like, so example, if you were very fat, probably one of the best things you could do for yourself health wise is just wearing a lot of copper.
Yeah.
You will lose weight if you just wear copper.
Copper.
It's that amazing. Fat is a store of magnetism.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane, right? So
And
it goes, go ahead.
yeah, and I'm thinking of so many people today, especially those with diabetes and stuff. They have this inflammation on their feet and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm thinking like wearing like a copper anklets on around your feet would really benefit.
Okay,
Um,
we'll take that idea one step further.
yeah,
You take copper foil tape
yeah,
and this is what, dude, the future, man. The future, all of this is going to be widely understood. We're going to
right.
move into a beautiful health paradigm in a few short years. But you take copper foil tape. This would be so huge for so many people.
Hmm.
And you put it in the sole of your shoe.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
And then you just
yeah,
walk on it.
yeah.
There at the bottom of your foot. I don't know if you know anything about that. I can't remember the name of it right now, but maybe you'll remember. The reflexology. That's
Hmm.
it. where
Hmm.
people massage the foot
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
have all these
yeah,
effects.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
because all the different parts of your body
Yeah.
drain to your feet,
To the
right?
sole of your foot, the
Yes,
sole.
yes,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But primarily the drainage comes from below your belly button that
yeah.
happens in your feet.
Right.
So either way, though, if you wear like the majority of the drainage comes from the air, even though there's a connection to everywhere in your body.
Right. And I also want to say here that for people who can, I really recommend trying to avoid shoes that are made of synthetic materials, but try to get leather material made shoes because this will help you discharge the electromagnetic activity from your body into the earth.
Mhm.
Leather because the synthetic, the rubber, the man-made materials or whatever are made out of like petrochemicals and things that
Mhm.
disconnect us from the healing properties of the earth and prevent all these electromagnetic frequencies we're getting hit with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, radio frequencies from
Mhm.
discharging back into the earth. And so then this causes a lot of cellular damage when we don't get rid of this energy that's hurting
Yeah,
us. So.
that's exactly right. In the polyester clothes and all that,
Yeah, yeah,
really,
exactly.
that,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Nylon, polyester, rayon, whatever, all of them.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I talked past it earlier, but what I was gonna say is that inductors and are over here in the magnetic field realm,
Hmm.
and when you wind copper or copper wound like that is a common electronic piece in pretty much everything,
Yeah.
from TVs, laptops, whatever.
Yeah.
Pick your thing. There's
Yeah.
very few things that don't have an inductor in them. Okay, so inductors are over here. They form magnetic fields,
Hmm.
literally toroidal fields, like a donut shape. And then over here are capacitors. And capacitors are layers of conductive insulative material. The reason I'm bringing this up is because what you were just saying to segue, your head is more magnetically charged. Okay. Your head is producing in a toroidal field similar to a coil of wire, as is your heart. All right. They don't work, they're not formed like an inductor, but they're still making toroidals like an inductor.
Right.
Okay. They do it through a different means, but they still doing it.
Sure.
Your head and your heart are more magnetically charged than the rest of your body because of the nature of how electricity works. Okay. That being said, if we could draw a diagram, you would draw this area red to represent magneticism, and you would draw your feet blue to represent capacitance, which is the opposite, or which is to say electrostatic or dielectric. Okay. Electrostatic and dielectric are the same phrase for the, not, I wouldn't say opposite, it's the same phenomenon, but it's at a different state.
Right.
Dielectricism is high pressure, magnetism, or electrostatic. If you want to look this up for yourself, you look up electrostatic, but dielectric is the correct term. Either way, dielectric, electrostatic is high pressure, it's at your feet, and magnetism is low pressure, it's at your head, your heart. Okay. The reason I'm stating this is because what I said earlier, copper is anti-magnetic. So if you were to put this at the soles of your feet and walk on it, what it would do is it would help keep that dielectric electrostatic effect at your feet and magnetism at your head. Another way it would facilitate good health, what you were saying, you will discharge, if you're an average person not being affected by the more intense things happening in society today, like COVID vaccine, that type of thing, or Havana syndrome, wearing copper at your shoes, on your feet, walking around 24/7 in your socks would probably be enough of effect to resolve the buildup of most chronic inflammation, if not almost all of it. It's that powerful of just correcting the electrical flow in your body. Okay. Now, with all that being said, I want to show a proof of concept
Yeah.
because it
Please.
sounds like I'm just saying theory here, and
Yeah.
some of it is, right?
Yeah.
But there is a huge physics theory or proof behind all of it, and it's called Lenz's law. Okay, it's we've known about it for 100 something years,
Yeah.
and for some reason, it's not widely understood what it actually means. Okay, that's for a second later. I just pulled that up, but it's right. Oh, the Zoom thing's getting in the way. Hold on a second.
And for those who haven't Yeah, Andrew is both on YouTube now, but he's been on Rumble forever and has amazing information over there. We gave a shout out to his channel on the last interview, but I will make him a collaborator on this video so you can easily follow him on YouTube. And of course, I'll be uploading this to Rumble and other platforms like Odyssey and BitChute. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. The This is MIT, and I'm going to go ahead and mute it. I'm just going to explain it because there's not really much to hear.
Sure.
This is Lenz's law. This is the quickest visual explanation of this phenomenon. And once you see it, it's pretty obvious what I'm saying is true. Let me book that up. Okay, so that what you're seeing is a copper pipe. The copper pipe is about 1.5 inches in diameter. This man, the scientist from MIT's got an iron ball. He's going to drop it through the copper pipe. You just dropped it. It falls at the speed of gravity. It takes 0.02 seconds to fall through.
9.81 meters per second squared.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
He's going to take a spherical magnet. He's going to do the same thing. He's going to drop it through. And go ahead. How do you say that measurement?
Approximately what, 4 seconds? What do you mean?
Yeah, 4 seconds a meter.
That's the whole length or whatever. So I didn't get the length of the pipe because it's not a meter. So
down there
yeah. It took him about 4 seconds versus So
yeah. Anyways, it drops very, very, very slow.
Right. So it's not just gravity working. There's a magnetic field that's keeping the ball from dropping at the rate that most things fall. Is the point.
By Lenz's law, the current creates a magnetic field that opposes the field of the falling magnet.
Right.
And that's the copper that's doing that.
Right.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Lenz's law. That's kind of the literal proof behind what I'm saying, that copper, silver, and gold are anti-magnetic. Silver and gold, you could do the exact same thing, and roughly the same thing would happen. There might be a little bit difference in how strong that opposing magnetic field is. I think gold actually makes the strongest opposing magnetic field, and then silver makes the second. Yeah. But it could be also that it's conditional upon other things. I'm not quite sure about that. Because who has the money to experiment with gold pipes?
The Rothschilds and Rockefellers.
Yeah, and what do they do? What do they do? And have you seen Donald Trump's? I'm not trying to make this political, so that's not the point. But have you seen Donald Trump's apartment? Full of the one he used to have in New York, full of gold, full of gold. And it's not just him, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, all those types of people. Yeah. They put gold all over everything in the places where the public doesn't go, right? Because they don't want you to see how wealthy they are. But when they're not afraid of it, they put gold everywhere because of the health benefits. Yeah. It's not because of, it could be, it was also a status thing for other people.
Oh, of course. But the same is true with like jewelry and stuff. We've always, I grew up my entire childhood thinking that gold and silver jewelry were things of fashion and status and different diamonds and emeralds and all these other things. But they actually, all these things have profound clinical benefits.
Absolutely amazing.
That was obscured from us.
Okay, now it's funny because those you look at the kings and the queens of old, or even their jewels that are on display, because they do display some of their jewels, right?
Yeah.
By the way, a whole bunch of them just got stolen recently, and no one got caught.
At the Louvre heist, do you mean?
Yeah. It was funny. That's some crown jewels, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because, like, if you were Joe Public, you'd go, I should really stop saying that. If you were just an average person and you were watching it, you'd go, man, that would make for a good Hollywood movie to figure out what happened there. But for someone that's in the know, it's like, well, they just wanted it back. Right. They were tired of the public having it. That's why no one got caught. Right. They were like, okay, time for us to have it back. We don't, public, we're going to take it back. We're going to just frame this heist. And that's exactly what they did, And nobody's going to get caught. No one's ever, it's not. And if somebody does get caught, they're going to be a patsy. But either way, it's really obvious. You can't even steal a sandwich from Subway without getting the SWAT team called. Right.
Right.
Yeah, literally, you will get the SWAT team called if you run. Yeah. And they know where you are, and you're still running.
In the middle of the day in Paris, and the most prestigious museum in the world, the Louvre. It's with, you know, the paintings from the
Yeah.
Mona Lisa to everything else. The place is just enormous. It's a mecca of art, and they just walked in the middle of the, well, broke in the middle of the day and heisted all
Yeah.
this invaluable jewelry. Sure.
I hope we're talking about the same thing. I couldn't actually remember if it was at the Louvre or not. Either
Yeah.
way, crown jewels did get stolen out of France. I think what you're saying is
Yeah. Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was the Louvre.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good. I couldn't remember exactly. But
Yeah.
yeah, okay, so another thing you can do, right, is and this is fantastic for everybody. It's a chemtrail, but it cleans your inner environment and your
Hmm.
outer environment. It
Hmm.
produces a very and so what is going on when we're around copper? It gives a propensity for a dielectricism or electrostaticism to accumulate in an area. That's really what's going on, the
Yeah.
physics of it. Okay, because it's anti-magnetic nature. All
Yeah.
right. But it's more the beautiful thing about copper is it's not making a huge electrostatic charge. It's making just a slight electrostatic charge. Okay.
Hmm.
Because if it was too strong, it would be a bad thing. It would actually be corrosive to us in a certain way, like
Sure.
lye, right?
Yeah.
So we wouldn't want that huge electrostatic field. So it's just making a slight electrostatic charge, and slight magnetic charge, like from citric acid you'd get from like an orange.
Mhm.
That's beneficial for you.
Sure.
It's not that magnetism is bad or dielectricism or electrostaticism is good. It's that it wants to be tightly held in that by that neutral space. And
Sure.
what is neutral defined as we experience it? Bill Russell said it best. He's the guy, or Walter Russell. Bill Russell was the NBA
Bill
player.
Russell was the
Yeah,
Celtics
I
great.
always
Yeah,
do
the
that. I always
legend.
do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, excuse me. Walter Russell said it best: the plane of inertia, which is to say, right, inertia, momentum, the plane of the material that we exist in. All right, that's what we can define as neutral by scale, right? So, like a rock is denser than water, right?
Mhm.
But they're both balanced in the material that we are experiencing. That's what the
Right,
plane of inertia is. I
right.
get into that more, but it doesn't really matter. The electrical effect, we want to be near that plane of inertia. Okay. So we can wear copper to facilitate that effect, or we can put it in our environment. And if we put it in our environment, if we put it in motion, it can produce this field, this slightly electrostatic field out. Okay. So the
Okay.
easiest way to do that is to take one of the cheapest motors that's available to us and modify it to do that, which is a fan.
Mhm.
All right. You take a fan, you take copper wire, you put it on the fan blades, you spin the fan. Right here, I've got a video, and you want to twist the wire so it holds even more capacitance or
Right,
electrostatic ability, right?
right,
Just to have a little bit more effect.
right.
Here's a, that's annoying. Here's a
Yeah.
quick video. This adds. Here's a quick, geez, Rumble.
Yeah, Rumble's bad with the ads.
I can't stand Rumble. I got on Rumble because I had to.
Right.
YouTube wouldn't let me
Yeah,
post
yeah,
it.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
that censored. But either way, it's ads on ads and ads. What this one is, I took a common house fan. I took two wires on and twisted them and put them on each blade. And I
Mm-hmm.
did that using mounting tape and hot glue. When you use
Uh-huh.
the mounting tape and the hot glue in combination, it
Mm-hmm.
makes for like a perfect seal on it. And this is a minute long, and it'll show.
Okay.
Oh, and what I was getting to is, as you can see on your screen, this
Mm-hmm.
is the cheapest, most effective for its investment chemtrail buster you can buy.
Okay.
You can make whatever. One last thing before. Actually, no, no, no. I'll just let this play and then I'll talk about it.
So we can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Oh, okay, okay.
But
Sorry.
but but yeah, I'm just
I'll say it. I'll say it. It was like 100 degrees that day. The first
Oh,
thing I did was I took two wires. That's why I'm sweating.
yeah.
They took two wires and I twisted them in a drill.
Yeah.
It's as simple as it sounds. You can
Yeah.
see it. And then the next thing I did is I cut that a 3 foot length into 5 different pieces
Yeah.
with some tin snips. You can cut it
Hmm.
with anything. And then I got the pieces in my hand. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it to the fan blades,
Yeah.
which is going to just take a second. There's only like 20 seconds left in this video.
Okay.
And right now I'm explaining that this is vortex math or sacred geometry.
Hmm.
And it creates a effect that's, that we were talking about, this electrostatic dielectric effect.
Yeah.
And then next that's going to show me attaching it to the fan here in a second. I guess the explanation was a little bit longer than I remember. There's it attached to the fan. There's the
Hmm.
fan spinning, and the
Hmm.
effect is created as easy as that.
Okay.
Okay, so what I was gonna say, what I was stumbling over before.
So what exactly are the benefits that you got from that? Other than so that this protected you from directed energy weapon attacks, this protected you from stuff in the air or everything like
It helps with directed energy attacks.
okay.
Uh, Here we go. Stop share. It demagnetizes you.
Yeah.
So and it demagnetizes your environment.
Hmm.
So it's a helpful uh, tool
Hmm.
for being a survivor of neuroweapons, human trafficking, or Havana syndrome, whatever you want to call it. If you're experiencing life in that way, build one of these. It will help. Put
Hmm.
them on all your ceiling fans. It's a chemtrail buster
Hmm.
because it projects this field farther. It it like wearing it's like wearing copper, but
Right.
it's not as strong as
Yeah.
wearing copper, and
What's what's the radius that pushes out from this fan? Do you
well,
know
it
how far?
depends. It depends because it's balancing electrical charge, right?
Hmm.
So if there's a bunch of chemtrail in your area, it's
Hmm.
going to resolve some of that, but not that far, right?
Yeah.
But if you look up and you look up in the chemtrails and they're just dumping it on you, right?
Hmm.
Or whatever geospheric aerosol injections, stratospheric,
Hmm.
because people always want to make it like legit sounding, but
Right.
it's like it's chemtrails, man. Like let's not make a big thing of it.
Yeah.
Either way, and that's kind of a misnomer to that whole stratospheric aerosol injections. It's like, no, this stuff is nanotech and heavy metals. But
Yeah.
either way, if you're heavily doused with it, and
Hmm.
like you look up, by the way, I'm getting way off, but you wear orange glasses, you can
Hmm.
see it clearly.
Really?
When you filter the blue light, you can
Hmm.
see the density of chemtrail in a way that your normal eyes can't pick up.
Hmm.
Absolutely amazing.
Hmm.
So, anyways, if you look up and all you see is that shiny, shimmery, artificial cloud crap covering everything, and
Hmm.
you turn on your ceiling fan that's got this copper on, with about 2 hours, give or take, maybe sooner, you will start to see an opening right above you where the
Hmm.
sky will start to become clear. And it will start very small and it will start circular,
Hmm.
right? It might not be a perfect circle because, you're in nature, winds
Sure.
blowing, stuff like that. But you will see an opening, all right?
Hmm.
And from that opening, it will continuously get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Hmm.
Okay. The people that are running the chemtrail, which is the FBI contractors, military contractors in your given area, they will eventually in your environment see that they're having a problem keeping this all up or covered across your city.
Right.
So what they'll do over years, it takes them a long time to figure it out, but they will start dumping more chemtrail in that area, not
Hmm.
knowing potentially that you're twisting copper, but
Yeah.
them just knowing that this is happening,
Right.
right? Okay, so my point in bringing this up is it's resolving magneticism. It's not a guaranteed, like, oh, if I turn this on within so much time, the sky will be clear. It's resolving the magneticism in the sky, right? So they release these particles and then they use other weather weapons like HARP station stuff, uh, Gwyn towers, so forth, cell phone towers, that type of thing, ground based, air based, space based weaponry to keep those particles in a magnetic state. Okay, so when the particles are there, it's an exponential growth of magnetism in your area. It's not just that the particles themselves are magnetic, it's that they're becoming magnetized in real time with the grid that we're existing. So what the fan is doing is it's mating that charge, that whole charge, that blanket EMF in that area. magnetic EMF, electromagnetic field, not electrostatic field. It doesn't. It's providing an electrostatic field. Okay, so the long story short, what it's going to do is it's imagine like ice forming. I'm long story short, I'm back to a long story. But this is literally how it works. And if you can imagine this, it will really help you moving forward. Ice, if you could see it under like a microscope form in real time, it's making these lines, right? And the lines of coldness. And off the lines come more lines until the whole thing goes from liquid water to solid ice, right? And it takes time. It structures itself. Have we heard of structured water? The same thing is happening when we put copper near water,
Sure.
right? And so, what's really going on in the sky when we run this thing? We're structuring the moisture in the sky. It's forming those lines, but at a different density than ice. Ice is a more powerful effect of the same thing, right? So it structures it. It structures it. And on a clear day, right? So, like a cold front is coming in, right? They're already going to have issues with chemtrails, right? A cold front is has more electrostatic charge in it. Okay, so they dump the chemtrails on a cold day, and with by on a in a regular event timeline by 1 o'clock or so, given the area you're in, it will clear up on a winter day. Okay, because of this cold electrostatic charge that the Earth is naturally providing is going to make that magnetism. If you have the copper fan going, it will speed up that process dramatically. So on bad days, this is the long story short, on bad days, the copper fan will affect a very small radius that's very near you, but it will affect it very strongly. Okay? Because it's almost as though the magnetism is encapsulating the effect of the fan. It's bubbling it, it's compressing it into a smaller space. But the days that that's not there, the electrostatic nature, the effect of the fan, which I guess would be called an electrostatic generator or a scalar device. That's what scalar is. Scalar is electrostaticism. But don't get caught up in that. It's a big misnomer. It's like quantum. It's a word that's thrown around too much. The effect can go for miles.
Really?
Yes, I've seen these copper fans and
Mhm.
some other things I go across half of Portland or a third of Portland, Vancouver.
Mhm.
So I've drove to the other side of the valley and I've seen the chemtrail, and it's like, well, my house is at the center of where it's clear, or depending on how the wind's blowing.
Right.
And yeah, and it's like I'm affecting, you know, 700,000 people right now. 700,000 people are in a clean environment because of these electrostatic generators that I'm producing
Right.
from my little house.
Right.
So it the effect can be quite large, the effect can be quite small.
Yeah.
Either way, it just depends what's happening in nature and what man's doing around it.
I
If
have a
enough,
question.
uh-huh.
So when you're running these fans with copper and stuff, does this impact people's daily lives in terms of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and things along that nature of functioning, or does it not impact those?
No, because those are of a different density.
Okay.
And what I mean, a different scale. They're too intense, right?
All right.
For this little generator, electrostatic generator to make
Mhm.
that charge.
Okay.
So it's still gonna affect you and whatnot. But the generator, the copper spinning the copper, is going to affect you positively. It's going to help your lymph nodes drain. It's going to help, promote wellness across the table.
Sure.
It's going to help resolve that bulk water that's around every cell.
Yeah.
So every cell there's intracellular water and extracellular water,
Mhm.
and intracellular water and extracellular water, especially extracellular water, builds up with these heavy metals. When we get into a really chronically inflamed state, basically that's what's happening. It's called bulk water. The bulk water on the edge of the cell, that's the farthest extent of the cell, of any given cell, becomes full of this toxic water. The copper fan spinning the copper helps resolve that in a way that is yet to be quantified, but is very powerful.
And so, which metals do you think that we should really stay away from? Obviously, aluminum has been normalized in our society, but it's doing us great harm. And like, what else are they're mixing boron in these chemtrails, and what other metals are they using to hurt us?
I will say this: any metal used with the right electrical effect can be beneficial. So you can even potentially use aluminum in a beneficial way.
Hmm.
Okay, with that being said, the ones that are specifically hurting us a lot, I think the number one is aluminum. I think to this day it's aluminum, but it's lead, cadmium, arsenic. Arsenic's technically a metal, I think, or maybe
Mercury.
it's not.
Or,
Yeah, but it's the common. It's the same five that have been poisoning the population since they started measuring them in
right,
1930.
right.
Lead, cadmium, arsenic, uh, and then it's the four, and then aluminum. I can't remember. Lead,
Oh,
cadmium, arsenic. There's one other. Beryllium.
I think it's right.
Something like that. Where you can look it up. The
Yeah.
FDA. This is one of the things the FDA is forced to test for. I mean,
Hmm.
I know they lie about these numbers,
Sure.
but it's there's always you'll see, such and such brand has more arsenic or lead or cadmium in it than
Hmm.
it should. And
Hmm.
it's like it's just been going forever,
Right.
because the people that make the food, factory food, all that type of thing have been making sure it's gotten into the population since,
Hmm.
again, like we talked about this last podcast, but like 1905 or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
1805. They've been at it a long time.
Very
Probably
long
back in
time.
the Middle Ages, putting
Yeah.
it in the bread supply, the flour supply, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Population control, even back then. So a lot of these ideas came from, that era, the Renaissance, whatnot. People, the rulers, really trying to make sure that the mercantile class was dealt with. And I'm rambling, so
Yeah, and I think a lot of these things were also pushed back in the World's Fairs and stuff, and like Chicago and the World's Fairs in the late 1800s. This is where brownies and corn dogs were introduced into the American diet and became like Americana, but that they actually were like pushing a lot of toxins and things or whatever, and making us sick. It was, but
that's
it,
very interesting. I never thought of that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was, seen as like this great cultural thing, but it was really just a big eugenics move, festival, normalizing stuff that's killing us and making it part of our culture. Well,
Yeah, there's a long line of this happening, with the dealing with these metals. But to answer your question, it's the four that they test for commonly.
thanks.
I can look this up right now if you're curious.
Yeah, yeah, look that up. I'm gonna go pee real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that. Thank you.
No, you're fine. We were right. It was the four are lead, cadmium, arsenic, and mercury.
Yeah,
I
okay.
don't know why I wasn't thinking mercury
Yeah,
wasn't.
I said
Yeah,
Mercury, but
yeah, you did. Yeah,
I
yeah,
wasn't certain, so I didn't want to say it
yeah,
again. Thanks for looking that
yeah.
up.
Been around for forever. That's been in the food supply, and
Hmm.
like I said, the FDA is forced to test everything for it. And
Hmm.
there are almost always a common brand that's got a problem with it at any given time.
Right.
But again, those are a lot of those tests are independently verified by smaller labs that are doing it for um, uh, charitable reasons, let's say,
Mhm.
right? For lack of a better term, basically a
Altruistic
hobby.
reasons. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
altruism.
Mhm.
And they're finding that almost always they see the FDA numbers and it's like times 10.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
story happens you'll hear that story every few weeks if
Yeah.
you're looking.
Yeah. You can't trust that the numbers the FDA, the CDC publish and any of these numbers. I mean, yeah, they're,
Yeah. Yeah. And the FDA really is to help the food and drug eugenics part move forward in a
mhm.
controlled way,
Mhm.
as is the CDC's and the disease, right?
Mhm.
CDC
100%.
promotes disease, really,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
FDA promotes heavy metal exposure.
Yeah. And it promotes the propagation of nanotech like Morgellons and all this other
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So,
Oh, yeah. If it
yeah.
wasn't for the CDC, the nanotech genocide we're currently under would have resolved in 2002 once it
Exactly.
started and
Yep.
once it went live.
Yep.
The civilian population had solutions back then,
Hmm.
But the people that had the solutions were pigeonholed
Hmm.
and took out one by one.
Yep.
For this is a bit rambly, but for the last 20 something years, naturopaths for that reason have been sought out by um, people that the public would call men in black, but are would be most more aptly called NSA contractors and murdered one by one.
Hmm.
There is literally hundreds and hundreds of naturopaths that have been murdered in the last 20 some years, but especially since 2011 on. From 2011 to 2017, you can look this up for yourself. Literally hundreds of them,
Yeah.
all across the United States and Canada.
Yeah.
That's because these people were figuring out, and I know this now definitively. What I know what they were figuring out is that they could resolve these conditions by treating it with alkaline foods. All right. They figured it out early. And because they were treating successfully their more, quote, Morgellons patients, which is a nanotech inflammatory disease, right? It's
Yeah.
an epigenetic nanotech inflammatory disease, meaning it changes your genes to produce elements of nanotechnology. When they were figuring out that they could treat this with alkaline foods, they were resolving not only the quote nanomachinery, which is the clumping of these nanomaterials in the body, right? They do take on some sort of technological ability once they clump, but really they're just clumps. And I mean, we totally overtalk these things, like like it's some sort of future. It is future tech, but it's not like as you know advanced as we like to talk about it, in my opinion. And maybe I'm wrong, but either way, they found that when they were resolving those clumps of heavy metals, smart heavy metals, pretty much of nanotech, they were also over time resolving the epigenetic changes that had happened, which was the big thing that the government
Right. Did not
military,
want.
yeah, they still don't want you to know this. This is a
Yeah.
big,
Yeah.
big secret, is that you can heal your DNA
Hmm.
by dealing with these magnetic charges, these latent magnetic charges. The latent magnetic charges are forcing what other um, what's the term for it? Geneticists have called junk DNA becoming active,
Right.
right? Because the idea is like you've got this DNA, and that's the DNA that's real, real active. You can see the phenotypes and all that type of thing, the active genetic expression of it. And then you've got all this huge strands of junk DNA, right? That's not true.
Yeah.
You've got DNA that's currently producing genetic expression, and you have DNA that is in a somewhat dormant state. Even what we think is dormant is not actually dormant. It's just less active, right?
Right.
And when you change the electrical conditions of the cell, the different DNA will become more active,
Yeah.
which is obvious. That's
Yeah.
such an obvious thing when I say it out loud. But for
Mhm.
some reason, if you say it to geneticists, it's like, it's like it's borderline fringe.
Heresy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's heresy. It's
Yeah.
borderline fringe.
Yeah.
It's not like you won't come across as a conspiratorial person, but you'll come across as like, oh, you're really speculating.
Right.
But it's
Right. Right.
100% proven. You
Right.
can put a cell in a petri dish and introduce different EMF to it, and it will
Hmm.
produce different things. This
Hmm.
is known. What's doing that?
Yeah.
And then, oh, that's not proven. Well, it's right there.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's like use your senses.
Yeah.
It's there for you to understand. The electrical effect is happening in the genetic expression or what's becoming more active in the DNA. All
Yeah.
right. So, long story short, about this particular thing, you can, if you're vaccinated, vax injured, this is true for you. If you were abducted by NSA agents and they filled you full 100 needles and you didn't die from that, that was changes your genes, and you're producing these mutant fungaloid growths all over you, which is kind of Morgellons like, right?
Hmm.
And you can barely walk, and like you're turning into the Fly from that monster movie in the 80s.
Hmm.
I can't remember what's the name of that movie. The
The
one thing.
Fly. It was
Oh,
called
there
The
we go. The
Fly.
Fly.
Yeah. Yeah. With what's his name? Yeah. Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeff
Yeah.
Goldblum. Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
And you look gross or whatever,
Yeah.
right? If you can still eat and sleep and all those things that you need to do to live, if you introduce alkaline qualities, which is to say electrostatic, EMF, I guess it wouldn't be electromagnetic, electrostatic fields around you. It will make those latent magnetic charges
Hmm.
that are forcing that abnormal genetic expression. And over about a year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on how bad it is, you'll resolve those conditions and return to your natural state.
Right.
They do not want that to happen. And
And
go ahead.
yeah, no, to tie, go ahead. Sorry.
To tie this back into copper, is it passively promotes beneficial epigenetic expression,
Mhm.
right? At its, wow, that's deep, right? That's
Yeah.
at its deepest layer of us in the material world, what it's doing for us.
Mhm.
It's absolutely fantastic.
And so now I also want to go back, and I think I mentioned this in the last time we talked, is that also that something that I've been doing for a couple of months is that every morning that I wake up and before I go to bed every night, I mix have a tablespoon of baking soda into my water, drink
Mhm.
that, and then I use high mineral sea salt like pink Himalayan salt,
Mhm.
mix that in my water, drink that. This creates not the baking soda creates a more alkaline environment inside of my body that combats both nanotech and literal parasites.
Mhm.
And then the high mineral sea salt, and both of these, the salt and the baking soda, also dry out parasites that require moisture to thrive and stuff. So it kills them that way in that environment. And then the high mineral sea salt is also giving you the essential minerals that we are deficient of in our diet and our water today. So
Okay,
most of these things have had profound impacts on my health
let me
benefits.
translate that into this electrical conversation
Okay,
theory that I
please,
came.
yeah.
Uh, Sea salt or that mineralized salt, that which literally is like the salt you would get from the earth. That's the idea. It
Hmm.
remains as little unchanged as possible. That salt holds a slight acidic charge, a slight magnetic charge. The baking soda in the water holds a somewhat stronger electrostatic charge, but it doesn't last that long. What you're doing is you're creating a vibration through your body that is cleansing you, a pulse that is that oscillation in that neutral life plane of inertia, life yielding zone, habitable zone between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn in your body, so to speak. Right? It's
Hmm.
the same thing. It's the
Hmm.
same thing. I know I just
Hmm.
threw a few things in there, but
Yeah.
the electrical effect that we see that you were doing, that you were producing in your body is in that sweet spot. So you were giving your body the right electrostatic charge, and then you were giving your body the right magnetic charge. And when you did that together, it had this effect, which you were just saying, drying out parasites, well, so forth, so forth. But that's what you were doing. You were giving your body the right energy to do what it's going to do with it. And your body is so amazing. It doesn't need it doesn't need you to think it out necessarily. It doesn't need you to know all that. Once you put these charges in your body, the electrical pull of the things happening in your body are going to make these charges and do this almost well, it is automatic, autonomically,
Yeah.
right? It's instant.
Yeah.
When you drink something, it instantly goes everywhere. The
Yeah.
molecules of it. It's even the same with touching something. How freaky is that?
Mm.
That field, the resonant frequencies of what you're touching goes across your whole body the second you touch it.
Right.
But yeah, very.
And also speaking about frequencies in water is that
Mhm.
water holds energy, and so when you speak love and healing into your water before you consume it, it's like
Mhm.
blessing it or never having like holy
Mhm.
water. Like I love you water, you're healing water. It's going to have an impact on the molecular level of the water, and when you consume it, and so it's going to be beneficial in your body. It's kind of like in the Last Supper, Jesus speaking to the wine and drinking the wine or whatever. He was blessing the water, the wine.
Mhm.
Then everybody drank from, the water that. Anyways, it's
No, no, no. That's a really good point. You remember
yeah,
how we were talking about how the copper when it spins is
yeah,
structuring the moisture in the air?
yeah.
All right, that Japanese scientist, the from the studies that you're talking about, when you speak love into water,
Hmm.
that it literally structures it.
Yeah.
So
It,
your
it, it,
intention,
Just like, where people talk about gardeners and stuff, that when you speak love and you speak to your plants, they thrive, and it's not just about giving carbon dioxide to the plant. Everything's energy, and
Yeah, and
everything's
so like somatics, the study of the vibrating
yeah,
sound,
yeah,
or the you put something on a
yeah,
vibrating plate and produce sound through it, and it
hmm
shows different shapes.
yeah,
That's the same thing. It's we're
hmm
structuring, right? And
hmm
if you think about this purely from like a chaos and order standpoint, which
hmm
makes a lot of sense, is that and so what is chaos? Chaos is the extreme magnetism and extreme electrostaticism.
yeah,
But order is that sweet spot that we were talking
hmm
about earlier. And what
hmm
is order in a material way? Because we're material creatures, we live on this material plane. Order is literally structure.
yeah,
So when we're talking about structuring, this thing is structuring. I got a ceiling fan going. That's why I keep it's literally I got one going in this room we're talking to. It's got copper on it.
right on.
When we're talking about structuring the environment, whether it's the water we're drinking by speaking intention into it or the moisture in the air, what we're saying is it's we're bringing it back into that life yielding zone of electrical activity in which we want to interact with. Yep. And copper, silver, and gold are very easy passive things that you can do.
Right.
It's like the easy copper. When people figure this out, right? I think
Mhm.
about this all the time. When will people figure all these things out, right?
Yeah,
I know I'm not the first. I know
yeah,
this has been go. People have known this for 10, 20,
yeah,
50, however long human history has existed.
yeah,
Because I look, you see the evidence of it everywhere.
yeah,
But when the general public figures this out, it's their fear that stops them. Fear is going to just fall from us,
yeah.
as a collective group. And we're going to go from this era of humanity, which is going to be seen for what it is, which is very dark, very
Sick, tired, destructive, sick.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
chaotic, diseased.
hmm
Yep,
Fearful. Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
And we're going to move into a time that you can't even imagine what's coming, the wonders
hmm
of tomorrow,
hmm
right? Because just with the things we've talked about today, we could totally change society in the next week.
Yeah.
If I was president and I said these things on national air and
hmm
most people liked me, right? Like Trump a few years ago. And that's not to make
hmm
things political, right?
Right,
But if I held that position in society, that was the point. If I was
right.
king, 500 years ago and I said this thing and I
hmm
provided people the ability to get it like we have today,
hmm
any, for some reason, I want to say jackalope, any jackalope can go to the store at Home Depot and scrounge together $30 and get 25 feet of this stuff
Yeah,
and wrap it around them.
yeah.
If everyone did this in the next week,
hmm
within 6 months, the strain from the healthcare system would
hmm
be lifted,
Right.
right? And all those people that were chronically inflamed and doing chronically inflamed things would stop.
And
What's a
and
what, yeah,
and I also want to say that this also goes with the mental health. Most mental health problems are due to chronic inflammation in the central nervous system, the brain,
mhm,
and such. It's not just it have profound impacts on so many levels.
mhm.
Once we start incorporating these things, and this reaches the common person,
But we are so trained as people because when I started wearing, it's just so indoctrinated. When I wore copper for the first time and people saw me wearing copper,
hmm
they made fun of me. My
Yeah, yeah,
family, my
yeah,
friends,
yeah,
they're like, "Oh, well, that's really going to help you, isn't it?"
yeah, yeah.
Or my sister, "Oh, you kind of look like Madonna."
Right,
You know,
right.
Well, you're like Elton John now.
Nah.
Yeah, that's like the gay, right? That whole thing. It's like it was effeminate for a man to wear
hmm
jewelry, right?
Right, right,
And
right.
there's some other things there too. But
Right.
the whole idea of wearing copper and it being that healing for you, it was
hmm
like, okay, yeah, right. Let me take my
All right,
uh
Mr. Woo Woo.
yeah, exactly. Let me now you stop with that. I'm gonna go back to my petrochemicals taken
Right,
in pill
right,
form.
right, right,
Those are gonna heal me.
right, 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 right.
Insanity.
I'm gonna go
Yeah.
wait in the line pharmacy for 5 hours, man, for this medication that's made out of petrochemicals. Yeah,
Yeah. Literally,
yeah.
literally is that I think people in the Middle Ages had better healing modalities.
Oh, absolutely,
Prayer and
absolutely.
herbs will get
Yeah.
you a lot farther on a day-to-day basis than what we've got today.
hmm
Yeah, our medicine's great with a broken arm.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, or if
Or
you
or
got
re
something happen,
reconstructing a knee or something
yeah.
phenomenal.
Oh, Yeah,
for chronic issues and long terrible.
terrible,
It's
terrible.
killing
It's
us.
designed to kill you, which is should
Yeah.
be obvious for most people now.
And
So
most all these medications come with catastrophic, not side effects, but consequences. When you take these things
mhm,
long
mhm.
term, they create metabolic havoc, they create chronic inflammation. It's just the list goes on and on.
Yeah,
Um,
well, it reminds me, when they were talking about Tylenol forming autism,
yeah,
and they made it a political thing.
yeah,
But when they first started talking about it, I was like, duh. Like, what? That's all it causes? I was thinking, like, I thought it caused heart attacks, strokes, and just generally clots too. But I could be mistaken which one was which. I know one of them does all those things I just said. And anyways, there's autism. I was like, yeah, well, that makes sense. Dementia, named Lou Gehrig's. I don't know. Like, where does it stop, right? It's all of scale. Like, where does the inflammation go and how long do you hold it for?
yeah,
But then it became a political thing. And it was like, if you were, a quote, I'm on the West Coast, you're in a liberal area. If you were like aligned with liberal values, you had to like say, like, or no, you didn't have to, you do whatever you want. But a lot of people that had those, quote, liberal ideals were like, yeah, right. You know, I'm going to keep giving me and my kid the Tylenol or what, it's like, what are you doing?
yeah.
That's how they trick you. That's the whole game right
Well,
there. Is
but it's not Tylenol. There's so many other issues. It's the parasites they deny.
Yeah, yeah,
it's the
yeah,
heavy
yeah.
metals. It's
Yeah.
Tylenol. It's an easy like scapegoat. It's so
Well,
many factors.
but this is what I was saying is that the mechanism for the mind control of fake medicine
Mhm.
happens in that way.
Yeah.
You're right. It's not about Tylenol, really.
No, no, it's
It's
not.
about everything that comes before and after and Tylenol,
Yeah.
right? And it's not just Tylenol, it's just about everything over the counter.
Hmm.
But I thought that was very fascinating to see that happen in real time. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, so this is how people get have the thought pattern that they should treat cancer with radiation.
Right. Right.
It's psychosis,
Yeah,
right?
it's
It's
yes.
some sort of schizophrenic psychosis that we've been under for a very long time. Anyways, I'm rambling.
No,
Sorry to
no, 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 no. It's a good ramble. No, it's just important stuff. So.
we're going to I just think about it all the time because I'm living with it. I'm helping people. I'm
Mhm.
working with people. I'm giving them these modalities on a regular basis, what I pretty much do full time.
Yeah.
And I think about it all the time. Is like, what will happen when we reach breaking point? When we
Yeah.
reach, that's not the right way to say it. When we reach, what's the point? It is breaking point, but when you have enough mass where the system flips polarity,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we're and that's coming faster than people think. It's coming.
Mhm.
Believe me. When the internet turned on and people started talking to each other, even though the internet's dead internet right now and
Yeah.
most of it's bots and all that,
Yeah.
people are still talking to each other. People are still
Yeah.
figuring this out. We're gonna reach a tipping point, where the polarity is gonna change
Mhm.
on all this stuff, and it's gonna happen very quickly.
The tides are changing.
Yeah.
There's always a cycle to everything in the universe, the world, whatever. And yeah, the script's
I
flipping and yeah.
I think about that day every day.
Yeah.
And this is one of the biggest things that people are going to get almost immediately is utilizing copper correctly.
Mhm.
And like I've said a few times now, when people figure this out, they're going to go to the store, they're going to buy some cheap wire, and they're going to wrap their injury, and they're going to go, "Oh my God, it works! My knee pain's gone." And they're just going to be $15 of wire wrapped around their knee. It's. I'm not saying that's the cure for all
Can
knee
I,
problems.
why don't I pull up my website right now? No, oh wait, Alt S rather than, so,
But if you've got a little bit of knee pain, not like a blowout, and you put some copper around it, it's going to clear it up. It's going to stop it from blowing.
go to my website, notthatkindofcrazy.com. Everybody needs to check it out. But under the treating parasites pages portal, if you go down to, I should probably holistic. I don't like the word holistic. That kind of turns a lot of people off. But I have a whole section here towards the bottom on copper. Um, I just, yeah,
Yeah,
healing power of copper.
you could
Uh, so,
replace holistic with whole body.
Right, right.
Or what
Yeah,
else is
I
there?
need to change the language because that just, is going to shut down a lot of people and be like, oh, that just sounds, like there's no science behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the healing power of copper, essential mineral with powerful antimicrobial and anti-parasitic properties, that's been known for was used for generation. And this could be said copper, silver, and gold.
Mhm.
So it's a powerful antimicrobial, kills bacteria, viruses, and parasites within hours. It's an essential mineral for immune function. It's a powerful anti-inflammatory. It's been used for millennia in Ayurvedic and other principles, and obviously it was used in, the medieval era and, with royalty that we've been talking about. And it ionizes water. If you keep your water in the copper vessel overnight, it's going to kill all the bad bacteria, all the parasites in your water and stuff. And it's really phenomenal stuff.
It's going to give it a
And
slight alkaline charge
yeah,
too.
it's going to taste funny too at first, but you'll
Yeah.
get used to it, and it's good. I mean, you've been drinking poison for your entire life, so
Mhm.
And I also want to emphasize that the value of cooking with copper cookware. Cooking with copper cookware, it's going to cost a little more. It's a pain to clean and things. But it's going to lower rates of chronic disease. It's going to lower the rates of dementia and Alzheimer's, things like that if you cook with copper. The last thing that you want to do is cook with these PFAS non-stick, things that have become with Teflon and things like that have become ubiquitous in society. That the DuPont family and other things have pushed on us that these forever chemicals that we're cooking with are causing all the cellular damage and inflammation within our body that are driving all of our health problems. And But yeah, no, I mean, like copper is just really, really fantastic. At the very minimum, instead of using Teflon non-stick type cookware, at least get cast iron or something to cook with. Because these forever chemicals, so while they're really easy to clean, they're doing tremendous damage to our bodies and our minds and such. So just
Well,
wanted to,
pre nanotech,
yeah,
the big thing they were doing was making these chemicals to stick the heavy metals in your body, to make the heavy metals in your body stick to them, is the better way to
right,
say it.
right. So, yeah, I
That's the
just,
idea behind why forever chemicals are in so many things.
it's just,
But if you can't, so like if you can't give someone parasites, right, then what do? Right. And this is the problem that they figured out a long time ago. I talk too much about this, the people that do these things, but everybody wants to know, so it comes up a lot. But anyways, if you can't put parasites in someone directly, what do? You fill them up with heavy metals and the parasites in their environment will be drawn to them, right?
yeah, well, that's what restless leg syndrome
Mm.
is the intentional parasitosis of the population, which is
Yeah.
impacting, but yeah,
Which,
but
yeah, we talked about that too, is
yeah,
that nowadays corporate food does have parasite eggs in it also.
true.
But
That too.
you can just give someone the condition for parasites, and then they can eat, the one-off piece of meat. Almost every piece of meat's got some parasites in it,
Yeah.
and and those parasites will flourish.
And then we eat the carb heavy, sugar heavy diet that feeds the
Mhm.
parasites and makes them thrive. So they're
Mhm.
infecting us, and then they've trained us to eat a diet that is beneficial for the pathogens, not for us. And
Yep.
it's really this has been the plan and been going on for generations. If we get back to the basics of the American diet in the 40s and 50s and stuff, and we get to the things that we're talking about here and on the website, everybody will heal and will be so much happier and healthier.
Understanding the electrical effect behind all of it will
Yeah.
enable you to move through these healing modalities extremely quickly. And what I mean by that is truly understand them at the deepest level and utilize them in your life and your loved one's life in a way that maybe has never been done on wide scale. The electrical effect part of this, what we've been talking about this whole time, is the thing that will propel you towards this greater understanding of yourself and your outer environment, your inner environment and your outer. And that's
And,
the thing. So go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to add also going back to the benefits of like silver because we keep talking about copper, but you know that silverware used to be made out of silver, right?
Mhm.
And like teapots were made out of like silver because of all of these things had tremendous benefits for us.
Yeah.
It was a status thing, but it was much more valuable to you know that. Uh, um,
Yeah, I know. You can just go on and
yeah,
on
yeah,
about
yeah,
all of it.
yeah,
That's why
yeah,
I keep stopping myself because it's like I just sit here on my soapbox.
yeah.
Yeah. But it's endless. It truly is endless. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much proof of this that we've been talking about is all over across society.
Yeah. It's so evil that all these things that were just common in society that were helping us have been phased out and been replaced with all these, you know, petrochemical things that are killing us. So,
Yep. Yep. The inversion,
the
the
inversion,
complete
yeah,
inversion. Yeah.
we live in completely inverted times. It's
Hmm.
wild, but the tide is shifting. You're right, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be it's gonna be beautiful.
I mean, we're moving into matters of months now at this point,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
these things are really going to be understood at a wide scale.
yeah,
At 60 months, 120 months.
yeah,
That's the type of thing. 10 years, five
yeah,
years,
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, we're coming. It's coming. It's coming fast. It's crazy. Everything's changing. And the crazy part of it, God has a plan for all of it.
Yeah.
Because without the COVID stuff or whatnot, a lot of this I don't know how it would come to be. If so many people hadn't seen the lie on such a large scale,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, they really dropped the ball on COVID. They pushed way too much on the people way too quickly, and everybody's like,
mhm,
"Whoa!" They raised
yeah,
the temperature of the boiling water on us as frogs in the pot too fast, and everybody's like, "Ah, jumping out."
yeah.
No,
The I think one of the another big therapy for coming up, you heard me say this before, but is pulsed electromagnetic fields.
yeah,
Pulsed electromagnetic fields, huge, and can be produced by any handy person for about $150 of material and about 6 8 hours putting together one of these things, these devices, these larger pulsed electromagnetic field device. And just the benefits you get from that in conjunction with various arraignments of copper, silver, or gold is potentially endless. I think a lot of what's going on, a lot of the healing modalities that the ultra rich are utilizing are pulsed electromagnetic fields. They're sleeping on, they're spending an hour, day, morning, whatever, something like that, on or around. But yeah, any Joe Schmo, it's not illegal to do as much as they want to make it that way. They haven't figured out how to. It's not that hard to do. You can build one of these things with parts from an auto parts store, your average local auto parts store. You can find most of the parts for it, and then follow that up with the hardware store, and you're set. Two places in any medium-sized city you go to, and you build one of these things. Like I said, costs about 100 something dollars material wise, and from that point on, you've got what you would have to pay anywhere between 12,000 to 150,000 retail to buy. And that not only would you have to spend that, but you would have to have licensing and insurance to even buy it a lot of the times. But you can do it yourself as
DIY,
post
yeah,
electromagnetic fields. Absolutely. And that's a conversation for another time, but
yeah,
it's utilizing the same principles that we've been talking about.
awesome. Anything else you're forgetting that we haven't talked about yet? That's benefits of
I'm
this stuff.
I'm sure there's
Yeah,
always
yeah,
something.
yeah, we could talk and talk and talk about this stuff, but yeah, awesome, man. Well, Andrew, thanks again, man. You are just a well of information. It's always awesome touching base with you. So I'm sure tons of people are just going to have get so many benefits from this conversation. So thank you, man.
I appreciate that, Greg. You know what I noticed is with me talking just in general is that if you're ready to hear what I'm saying, you're gonna really like it. If you're not ready to hear what I'm saying, you're gonna be like, that guy's off his rocker,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and it's like, oh, I don't, you think whatever you want to think.
Yeah.
I'm sure you get the same response.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So, but it's it's people, maybe one of my episodes resonates with somebody and then they get exposed to another episode, and it's an exposure process of this tide of the shift of tides of what people are ready to perceive or believe, and it's very, very difficult. It's a big dissonance to
yeah.
recognize that you've been indoctrinated and fooled and that you're killing yourself. It's a big pill to swallow, you know?
It's it's a quite a large ego death.
Oh, it's a huge ego death. And
Yeah,
people, yeah, yeah. It's a big ego death. Like, yeah,
yeah. I can
yeah,
almost remember. I can remember those months of my life.
yeah,
Losing a large sense of what I thought was my identity or what
yeah,
was. You
yeah,
know, and it being replaced with this new truthful understanding. And
yeah,
that took way more time than losing the old paradigm. Losing the old paradigm took months. Gaining the knowledge of the new of what's really actually happening is a perpetual thing.
yeah.
It's taken. It's like I'm living a second lifetime right now, and it's been going on now for 8 years, give or take. So I'm young in this too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it was when I first found other people that were dealing with intense parasite symptoms back in 2020 and stuff, or 2021. I'd be like, well, I went to the emergency room, I went to urgent care, I went to my doctor, and they're like, why'd you do that? Like, you don't want to go. These people are going to be accelerating your problems with parasites
Yeah.
and things, and they're like, and it's just like your worldview is like, well, I'm sick, I need to go to the doctor, I need to
Yeah.
go to the hospital, I'm having acute and chronic problems. No, you don't. The system's designed to make things worse, and if yeah.
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 Earlier I was saying that allopathic medicine is good at a few things like
Hmm.
healing a broken bone or whatnot.
Hmm.
I cut my finger pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's why it's shaped like that.
Uh-huh.
I cut the tendon. It was a knife accident.
Uh-huh.
And I was lifting something. I thought it had been healed enough, but
Yeah.
I lifted something like 3 weeks later and I literally felt the tendon snap
Ooh.
because I had cut it so deep, but not all the way. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was gnarly. So I was like, everybody was like, go to the hospital, go to the hospital, my family. I was like, fine, go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital and I was like, this is literally the whole time I was sitting. I'm just remembering this. I was sitting in the waiting room with another family member, and for one of her coworkers from her job, not she wasn't in healthcare, completely different job, was randomly there. And the lady had, and I'll never name her name. This is not to shame her, but it's just to get a good what's really going on with these places, a good explanation. She had a bag of Doritos, a thing of Mountain Dew, just you could tell chronically inflamed. We were in the ER, right? She's sitting there, and my sister small talks with her for a few minutes,
Hmm.
and she leaves, and I go, "Hey, what's with that lady?" Because I she was small talking, right?
Hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, she's my coworker," and I was like, "Interesting." And she was like, "Yeah, she hasn't made it to work the last year. She's always chronically inflamed, sick, and at the hospital." And she's sitting in the ER eating the
Eating
Doritos,
Doritos, drinking Mountain
drinking Mountain
Dew.
Dew.
Yeah,
And not
yeah,
only that, so I noticed this, and I'm
yeah.
like,
Hmm.
and I'm sitting there with my bloody finger. That's the reason I'm there,
Yeah.
which is like a thing that they should be treating, right?
Right,
But
right.
it's like I'm hours, right?
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm watching just the flow of people to the vending machines,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, I just my family member. I was like, is that the point of the ER to sell snacks? Because
Yeah,
they are crushing it. They
yeah.
were doing major concession sales. I saw more concessions being sold in the ER than at the movie theater by a
Right,
wide margin.
right.
Every other person had a thing of pop and like a candy bar or a bag of chips or something. Everybody was sitting there. It was like Wally,
Yeah,
like it doesn't matter. It was just idiocracy, like
yeah.
another movie. It was wild for me to sit there and
Right,
see this. And
right.
eventually, so I see that whole thing and I'm like, wow, this is like very morbidly funny. Like
Yeah,
there's a very Monty
yeah.
Python dark humor here. you know?
Absolutely. When you're awake, you just
Yeah.
everything like music, TV, movies, everything's just interactions and just everything's just like wow.
So smart though. It's so smart. The people come in for their inflammation,
Hmm.
and what do while they wait? They get more
Yeah.
inflamed.
Yeah. Oh,
So
you're dehydrated. Here's a sugary Gatorade, and
yeah.
like yeah,
Yeah, and I'm not saying, hey, for the person that still engages in those things, like I do as sometimes too, I'm not perfect.
yeah.
Just don't do it all the time. Be
Hmm.
in touch with your body, okay? Like it's like alcohol or anything, right?
Yeah.
Anything,
Yeah.
right? It's not for
Moderation.
every day. And these toxic things are for
Hmm.
specific moments. And if
Hmm.
you're in bad health, don't do them.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't do them, right?
Yeah.
Like any dangerous habit.
Hmm.
You know, would you
Hmm.
snowboard with an ankle issue?
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Then why would you be eating that crap while you're in the ER?
Yeah.
Right? It's the same type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Eat the crap, whatever, do whatever you want. I'm not the food police. But at the same time, if you're going to eat it, know that it's going to have this effect, right? And then put that in mind. It's like if you're going to drink alcohol, make it a good time. You know what I
Right.
mean? Be with your friends and family at a party or Christmas or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because we're humans. We're
Yeah.
here to experience things and make mistakes and all that type of thing.
Right.
But eventually, I got into the doctor, see the doctor, and he was like, "So you cut this? Treat me like I'm an idiot."
Yeah.
Yes, an accident,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, "And then what'd you do?" And I was like, "And then I used super glue and tape to hold it together, surgical tape and super glue, right?" And this isn't to give medical advice. Do whatever you want. And he was like, "You use super glue?" And it was a deep cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, super glue was literally invented for that purpose.
Yeah.
And at the time, I knew that, but I wasn't quite 100% on it.
Yeah.
But he talked down to me like I was an
Yeah.
idiot. And the guy was
Yeah.
like 5 years younger than me. He was like
Uh-huh.
29 or something like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
you know? And he was like showing off to the nurse
Hmm.
that was also like 29. And it was like they had this like uh what's that thing, Grey's Anatomy
Hmm.
relationship. It
Hmm.
was like a freaking sitcom between those two.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
will they, won't they? That's what I
Yeah.
said to my family. I was like, will they, won't they? So they're like having this thing where they make fun of me, and you can tell they make fun of their patients quite
Oh
often.
yes. Oh yes.
Yeah,
That's
about
that's
using the super
common.
glue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, yeah, I use the super glue. Is there
Yeah.
anything you can do for me?
Yeah.
Right? He was like, no, you did it. It's popped. It's gone.
Yeah.
There's no reason to go to X-ray. You can see it's gone.
Yeah.
He's like, you just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
They bandaged it up, and then they like sent me on the way. And I was like, so the point of the story is the one thing they should do well, they don't even do it. You
Yeah.
have to hold a metaphorical gun to their head to get them to do it,
Yeah.
right? Like the thing which would like give me some sort of little bit of surgery to help attach the tendon, right? And then
Yeah.
I'll do the rest from there because that's
Yeah.
all I need from you is just to physically bridge that gap of the tendon itself that's been cut, and then I'll heal the rest. I know how to do from there, right?
Hmm.
They will not do it.
Yeah.
The one thing that they can do well, you have to drag them through all of the insurance companies to get them
Hmm.
to do,
It,
right?
it,
So it's
it- yeah, you make a great point though, is that they do crack jokes. The nurses, the whole
yeah,
medical staff, they crack jokes about their patients all the time,
yeah,
but the joke's
yeah,
on them. I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
when I was dealing with my intense parasitosis, I would go to the emergency room back in 2021, 22, or urgent care like a couple times a week.
Mhm.
And at the time, I learned to wear like nitrile gloves and stuff because the parasites love to latch onto your hands and stuff. And it's just a
Mhm.
great way of combating them. But
Mhm.
then they would like make fun of me for wearing these gloves because,
Yeah.
well, you're not getting the proper clinical benefit. You have to change the gloves like every single time, blah 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 blah. I was like, my God, they're working from their indoctrination where I'm working from like completely different
Practical,
set,
lived
practical, yeah,
experience.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
And at the end of the day,
I was using hydrogen peroxide for clinical benefits, and they're like, "Oh, can we take that from?" Acting like I have like a loaded gun or something,
yeah, I
Like,
know, yeah, 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 yeah.
oh,
Yep.
we should confiscate that for your
Yeah.
benefit or something. I'm like, my God, these people are just insane.
Yeah,
And,
I when
but
I
then
yeah,
they're cracking jokes in the background. Oh,
yeah,
is
yeah,
it a
yeah,
full moon? No, tonight.
yeah,
Oh, it
yeah,
is a
yeah.
full moon. Oh,
Which is there's a 100% causation of full
yes,
moon and
because
parasite growth.
parasites are more active in the full moon.
It's
Oh
well
my
known.
God,
It's well known.
yeah.
But you
But
say that to
they
these
want to act
people,
like you're
yeah.
crazy,
You say
rather
that to
than the
these
system
people,
is delusional,
and they want to sing Werewolf in London to you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
exact type of joke they would crack too.
yeah, 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 yeah.
They do something like that.
And
Oh, when
they'll find any way to shame you, but really the
yeah,
joke's on them. They're the
yep,
ones that are evil, they're not evil. Some
yeah,
of them are evil, but
yes,
they're
yeah,
just they're idiots.
yeah, yeah. The majority of them, it's funny about that experience. Have that indoctrination, that
Yeah,
snooty,
yeah,
condescending
yeah,
indoctrination.
yeah,
What's
yeah.
funny about that experience is that will they, won't they, that whole thing, because that was a big element too, because they were all like so sexually frustrated. It was weird,
Yeah,
the whole vibe was super weird.
yeah,
But after the doctor and the nurse made fun of me together and the doctor left, right? It's like I hate this. Call these people doctors and nurses.
right.
It's weird, you know.
Yeah,
It's like it reminds me of Slaughterhouse 5
yeah.
with the I don't know if you read that.
No, a
It doesn't
long time
matter.
ago. Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. After then the nurse was like, she was like, no, it makes sense you use the super glue. That's actually pretty smart. And she was like trying to walk back because once the club atmosphere had
hmm
died and it
hmm
was just us interacting on a
hmm
real level, she wanted to
hmm
walk it back.
Yeah,
She wanted to be like, no, no, it's like,
yeah,
because now it was me and my sister, right? And it was
yeah.
no longer or my family member, excuse me, it was my sister, and it was no longer those two and us two as two
Yeah.
separate groups with them having authority. It was
hmm
this lady and my sister and my sister and me were joking about all of it.
Yeah.
Like how funny, like, and once I pointed out the food thing to my sister, she could
hmm
not see it either.
hmm
So we were like, oh, Pringles,
hmm
like trying to count how much concessions was around us. Hundreds of dollars. Anyways, so once the club atmosphere, the group was gone for her, and her indoctrination kind of broke a little bit through a little sunlight through the clouds, a little ray of
Yeah,
sunlight
yeah,
through the
yeah,
clouds. He was like trying to come back to that, person. You're a person, I'm a person.
yeah.
I understand. It's just like the whole thing. It was the tribes we put ourselves. I don't know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
but
Well,
yeah,
no, there's this whole conformity thing. People don't want to be
yeah,
outcasted from the tribe, and once a person with authority and influence and money starts
mm,
shaming you, or
yeah,
can potentially shame you for saying so, even though you're right,
mm,
it's like people don't want to be that outcast but
mm.
somebody's got to when the authority figure's all wrong, you know.
Yeah, and I don't
And
mind. I haven't minded it in a long time being that person.
yeah, me
You know,
neither.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. I used to mind it very
yeah.
much. I remember when I first came into the first ER experience I had throughout this whole last 8, 9 years. I went in there after a wildfire season. While I used to be a wildland firefighter,
Yeah.
and I had all these Morgellons symptoms,
Mhm.
right? And I didn't tell them. I didn't go, this is Morgellons. I
Yeah.
said, I was a former wildland firefighter. I believe I might have a Lyme co-infection, Lyme's co-infection, because that made sense to the scholar in me that had done the
Right.
research
Right.
in the week leading up to, because I was getting crazy symptoms for
Right.
2 months. You ever have Morgellons symptoms? They're absolutely insane when you don't know
Yeah.
about it. So I went into the ER, the urgency care. It wasn't ER, it was urgency care. And I talked to the first doctor, and she accused me of being on meth.
Nah,
He just
of
straight up
course.
accused me of
Of course.
straight. That was her first response: "Is
Yeah.
are you on meth?"
Yeah.
And I said no, and I said I'm on nothing. I think I was smoking pot at the time,
Yeah.
but I did say that I was like I'm on nothing besides that. And pot was legal in Washington, so
Mhm.
it's not like I was even breaking that law or anything
Right.
like that.
Right.
And she goes, "Are you sure you're not on meth?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Are you sure you don't want to take a drug test? I'll take a drug test." And the second I said that, it was like I was loony for even saying that.
Right.
Like, oh, should you be taking a drug? Well, tell me, you're the one that
Right.
just accused me of being on meth.
Right.
And you know what I was showing her? I was showing her skin abnormalities.
Hmm.
But in their indoctrinated brain, if you have skin or abnormalities,
You're on
then you're
meth.
hyper focusing on it,
Yeah.
and you're on some sort of amphetamine,
Right.
right?
Right.
That's the
They,
CDC.
yeah, they will scapegoat everything, and yeah, they'll find any reason to,
The
yeah.
CDC set that parameter up. They said, they trained all of their doctors and their doctors and trained all the other doctors
Hmm.
to think that.
Hmm.
It's insanity. You can
Hmm.
literally go there with a provable like eczema
Hmm.
reaction, not
Hmm.
Morgellons, just a regular eczema type thing that's gotten really nasty because of
Hmm.
whatever in your environment, your
Hmm.
eating habits,
Hmm.
mold in your house, whatever, something like that. Sometimes it gets really weird looking and it gets
Hmm.
really nasty and like big chunks of skin fall off. And one of the first things they will think of, and they will tell you this, is that you're on meth.
Yeah.
How did skin issues become uh, amphetamine use first reaction?
Yeah.
Because the CDC and all the doctors figured this out well, 1997 or so on, that the nanotech that's widely in everyone, that's widely causing a lot of skin issues or complications of what could be way more treatable skin issues, needed to have a cover. Uh, this is my opinion, though. If you look at you look at people's eczema, like their scalps, where people have dry skin or something, or what's that? It's spelled psoriasis.
Psoriasis. Yeah.
Thank you, psoriasis. I always forget how to say that. It is so much gnarlier in its expression than I remember growing up. I see it everywhere, people's skin issues.
Hmm.
And it's like one of the factors of that is it's not the only factor, but is the heavy metal nanotech leaching from the lymphatic system through the skin and out. And like when all those heavy metals clump on the skin, what would be, like I said, somewhat treatable skin issue becomes a much larger, more complicated one. So there needed to be that cover, at all these urgency cares for it. Because I know, stop rambling again, start rambling. It's so easy to ramble about these things, but I know of various health professionals in my personal life, people that I respect, people that I care. I'm not going to name this person particularly, but he told me straight up he was a medic, right? Actually, I can name him. He wouldn't mind. Fire Medic 8. He's got a channel on Rumble, YouTube, and Substack. If you want to look at his work, he said straight up. I think this was on a no, this was in a personal conversation, but I know he wouldn't mind about this. He said straight up that they used to. He's been a medic for a very long time and a firefighter medic, city firefighter, and or he was, and this is all stuff he publicly states. And he would oftentimes find people with having chest stuff go on, whether that was like getting shot with something like a knife wound, um, having a heart attack, that type of thing. And oftentimes on the spot, they would open the chest cavity, or the chest
Hmm.
cavity would already be open because of
Hmm.
injury. And what they would see in there was these thick, white, fibrous clots forming in the lungs, the heart cavity area, all that whole thing. It's the same thing now that we see widely reported giving people clots.
Yeah.
And my point is that for the undoctrinated health workers, they have been seeing abnormalities for 20 years. And if they hadn't been stopped as many times as they had, all this stuff would have never came to be like it is, right? If the CDC and other governmental institutions, whether through the university or not, hadn't set up these parameters to call these advanced skin issues that have just manifested in the last 15 years, or diseases like you brought up earlier, restless leg syndrome, that type of thing. If they hadn't had this whole mental health bullshit,
Hmm.
you
It
know,
is bullshit.
everybody's crazy that's got one of these weird
Hmm.
things going on with their
Hmm.
body, right? It can't be that it's actually happening. It's got to be
Hmm.
that's all in your mind.
Hmm.
If they didn't have that to back on, we wouldn't be in this situation that we are. But
Absolutely.
they had to create that system of calling everything a mental health thing
Hmm.
as this all was unfolding, this genetic manipulation. the whether it's coming from lab-made parasites or lab-made parasites that are encoding for nanotech, because both things have been happening very, very much for the last 25 years. It's 96, give or take. That's really when all this crap, they've been doing it a long time. That's really when it took off.
Well, the nanotech part, that the parasites have been going on since the 70s, that they've been
Yeah.
intentionally infecting people with. But yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah, definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think the nanotech part of it was like the real tie with everything.
yeah.
Because once they got these heavy metals to stick in people for a
Hmm.
longer period,
Hmm.
then the EMF became more potent, and then the exponential growth of parasites. Parasites had a better habitat in people's
Hmm.
bodies, and anyways, it was an exponential growth of chronic inflammatory diseases. And I bet you the real life expectancy has gone way down, and the numbers that we're seeing now are just
Sure.
totally made up,
And
manufactured.
I hate outcome studies where they talk about length of life and where they're not doing quality of life measures.
That's
If we had
yeah,
quality of life measures from the 50s or the 40s, post World War II, you could just see this plump.
yeah,
It would be astonishing, but none of these clinical studies do. Very few of them do quality of life measures, and it's just like symptoms. Okay, well, these symptoms have gone down. Like it's just
yeah, 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 yeah,
and the only thing that the gold standard of these studies is, well, what is the person's length of life? It's like, well,
yeah,
I'd rather live 50 amazing years than 80 years where I'm like bedbound and sick and tired all the time and miserable.
yeah, yeah. Same
So
here.
yeah. All right, Andrew. Um, Great having you on, man. I'm getting super hungry, so I got to get something to eat and
Yeah.
stuff. But
All right.
you have a great day, man.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks for coming on again.
Yeah, great talking to you.
You too. All right.
Bye, Greg.
Bye.